xây tương thân tình trong đạo Phật, tùy khác màu nhưng một tôn sư. Hôm nay đây cùng nhau họp mặt, quyết noi theo đường Phật giáo Hoàng Dương.
Xin chân thành cảm ơn chư liệt vị vẫn tiếp tục giữ màn ảnh để theo dõi về chương trình Sống Đời Sống Phật. Và chương trình hôm nay thì chúng tôi chia sẻ bằng tiếng Anh để cho những người trẻ có thể hiểu thêm bằng cách nào mà mình có thể bắt đầu đối với cái sự nghiệp tu học về Phật Pháp, cũng như nói đến những cái lợi ích của sự quy y tam bảo, lợi ích của sự phát tâm thọ trì năm giới. Và Đại Đức Thích Ấn Tri cũng chia sẻ về 4 cái sự thật mầu nhiệm mà chúng ta thường nghe qua cái thuật ngữ của Phật học, đó là tứ diệu đế. Tứ diệu đế còn gọi là tứ thánh đế, the four noble truths. 4 cái sự thật này, thứ nhất là khổ đế, mà chúng tôi cũng hỏi Đại Đức Ấn Tri là phải chăng khi mà Đức Phật khai thị cuộc đời này là khổ, là vô thường, thì điều đó có nghĩa là tiêu cực? Thì như quý vị đã nghe, không phải như thế. Bởi vì sao? Bởi vì Đức Phật đã không chỉ nói về cuộc đời là vô thường, là khổ đâu, mà Ngài còn dạy cho chúng ta cái nguồn gốc của khổ đau là gì? Tại sao chúng ta lại có những cái sự khổ đau trong đời sống của mình? Và sau khi mà chỉ cho chúng ta thấy rõ cái nguyên nhân đưa dẫn đến sự khổ đau, Đức Phật còn nói rõ cái giải pháp thay thế. Cuộc đời này là khổ đau, và sự khổ đau đó mênh mông vô lượng, cho nên chúng ta thường nghe qua một cái tên gọi đời là bể khổ. Bể ở đây là chỉ cho cái biển bao la bát ngát mênh mông, khổ nó nhiều quá, cho nên phải dùng cái biển để mà làm cái thí dụ để giúp cho chúng ta hiểu sự khổ đau đó rất là nhiều. Và thay thế cái sự khổ đau bằng cái sự an lạc, giải thoát hoàn toàn, chấm dứt khổ đau. Và cuối cùng là Đức Phật đã dạy chúng ta cái con đường để giải thoát khổ đau. Ngài không phải chỉ đề cập về thực trạng của khổ đau, Ngài cũng không chỉ nói về nguồn gốc của khổ đau, Ngài cũng không phải chỉ nói về cảnh giới niết bàn không còn khổ đau, mà Ngài còn dạy chúng ta đặc biệt là cái phương pháp để chấm dứt khổ đau, the way how to end suffering. Cái này rất là quan trọng. So please continue talking about the four noble truths. You just explain about the first, right? So I want to ask you to continue, talking about the second one. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Most Venerable Master, for giving me some time to share with an American audience about the Buddhist teachings. So in our previous episode, we were talking about basically pain, misery, suffering, this ocean that we're in this world that causes us to be influenced by negativity, influenced by thinking of this world as hopeless. But as the Buddha expounds, there's a path for us to overcome this misery. There's a way for us to see throughout this huge ocean of discontentment, of constantly filling ourselves with salt water to end a thirst that is never full. We have a way for us to nourish this with actual pure water. The water which is also what we see from the second noble truth is to see that there's a cause. There's a reason why we experience pain, misery, and suffering. There's 8 things that the Buddha had expounded into why we experience pain. The first set of 4, which is birth, old age, sickness, and death. And although we start at birth to see why must there be pain in birth, pretty much many mothers, once they have birthed their child, it always comes from great pain, not only for the mother, but for the child. So immediately when we are born, there's a sense of huge pain that arises. Because before, in the womb, we were quite content and filled. But once we took a breath of air, we rely on this air until the way we pass away. So our time already born is limited. Going from that, we have old age. Some people, if they're young now, maybe they're 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years, 25 or 30. It doesn't seem that bad. But after a certain age, you begin to realize that your hair is growing thin, your hair is getting gray, you're losing hair, your skin is getting wrinkled, your energy is getting depleted. Many of the things we tend to think in being youth, that it is not forever. And the reality is that if we cling to even birth or youth, we're going to eventually be met with old age. And this is what the Buddha also saw when he was in this world 2,600 years ago. And if we're not afraid of birth, then I hope you'll definitely be afraid of sickness. Sickness is a reality of life. People of all the world understand, especially from COVID, that at any moment that diseases, viruses can spread at any moment. And we don't realize how important it is to feel normal and healthy until we get sick. Sick is the reality of life. Sickness doesn't necessarily have to mean physical, but emotional as well. Mental imbalances and emotional suffering is something that is also corresponding with sickness. And so it's very few people, almost none at all, is completely healthy, completely not sick their entire lives. We must be met with this reality. And I believe personally, if you don't have faith, the most fearful thing we have in this world is that we will have to pass away and die. It's something that faces us every single day once we're old enough to understand this. And so the uncertainty of life, the certainty of death causes a huge amount of anxiety and pain, especially in this generation where there's lack of faith, there's lack of hope. And through this hopelessness and faithless, it tends to have a lot of anxiety and ease. It's called existential crisis. Even the Buddha suffered from this, having everything he could desire, being perfectly healthy and fine. He faced this reality. The other things that we tend to have as forms of discontentment and suffering is not having what we want, which is the 5th. By not having our expectations that are not met, we're met with the equal amount of discontentment and pain. All the dreams that we haven't fulfilled yet will eventually be met with pain. All the things that we have yet to wish that we had will be met with pain. And so that is the reality that if we don't attain what we have, whether it is skillful or not, we will be met with discontentment. Going on forth is to be separated by the ones that you love or are associated with. What this means, to be separated with the ones that you love, is a way that if you have friends and family that you're with for a long time, suddenly you have to move away from loved ones and family. That causes a lot of pain. That causes a lot of unease. Once you have a very loving relationship with someone and they go away or it separates, whether through the ending of romance or through life and death, that causes a lot of pain. The other is being near and close by someone that we love someone that we do not like, we despise, and we hate. So if we're in a room close with the people that we particularly don't like, that will also cause us to be feeling misery, hatred. Why is this person near me? Why are they always around me? Causes ourselves to be stressful. The eighth form of suffering is the suffering of the five skandhas. The skandhas is form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. And another way to say that, it's what we believe until we're enlightened. That is the human condition of our form, which is our body, and the rest of it, which can be comprised of body and mind, name and form. So going into that, we tend to grasp our body, our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, our perceptions, and what we consider as conscious. And this is more of a topic that can go on into a more advanced discussion. Even I'm currently studying it now, but if we understand this as the eighth and final reason why we have pain, we're able to arise above that through the Buddha's teachings of no self and emptiness. I'm not at the capacity and skill to say that with full authority, but once you understand that the five skandhas are ultimately empty, you'll be able to arise from suffering. Once you understand also that this is a reality of life, old age, sickness, and death, you're able to overcome the reality of understanding impermanence or this change. Because why? If you understand that it is just natural in the universe, in nature, that we will be met with this change, the most important thing you can do also is to have faith, to take refuge, and to build inner qualities of yourself to meet old age with grace, to meet sickness with love, to even face death with fearlessness. And so when you understand that the Buddha has every single remedy to meet with every single aspect of suffering, we, and I myself also, pay homage and gratitude for the Buddha who taught us for each and every ailment, there is also a cure practice to overcome each aspect of the suffering that he described.
Thank you. Suffering is caused by attachment, desire, and craving. That's correct. I mean, ignorance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, can you explain a little bit more about the first suffering, first of eight?
Yes. So conventionally, when we see that suffering arises from greed, from attachment to grasping, we see a lot of times because we want different things. We want to be the most successful person or the richest person, and especially in Western society, when we're always given through marketing, ads, through internet and things, where our eyes and our heart is always grasping and craving towards things that inevitably causes much mental stress, much pain. A lot of times, as we and I see through the internet and social media, is that there's always has to be now a comparison to see the others living these lives, having these great adventures, having a great job, and for us and ourselves to constantly wish, long, and strive for these things causes a lot of mental stress and illness. A lot of the things that we want, that we constantly want and crave, can ultimately cause a lot of pain, even though we recognize that some things can be positive and negative desire. Most of the things that we see in today's world causes us to live with discontentment, live with having expectations from maybe ourselves, our family members and friends, causes us to be constantly stressed out. And those things the Buddha allowed us to, why we should investigate into ourselves. What do we really want? What are the things that we can do that causes us to have true peace and happiness in ourselves? What is the way, no matter if you have this job, this title, this material thing, how can you find contentment from just being grateful of your breath, grateful of the sun, maybe a cool shower, or so many things you can have instead of constantly wanting more things. The Buddha taught us in Vietnamese, it's ít muốn biết đủ, ít muốn biết đủ. So it's one way for us to understand about it won't biết đủ means you don't have many wants, and you know inside when you're content, having enough. Even from those 4 words, if you put it into practice, will allow you to eliminate wrong greed and wrong desire into yourselves. Taking appreciation into what you have, gratitude in the nature and things that we have is one form to help us eliminate from having the form of suffering that arises from wrong attachment, wrong desire, and ultimately greed and grasping.
Yeah, thank you very much. And the third noble truth is what?
Yeah, beautiful. The third noble truth is the cessation and ending of what causes us to suffer, the cessation of suffering, the ending of suffering. And what it causes, some people may argue and say it's no desire, no craving, no wanting, but not necessarily. The cessation of suffering is the cessation of unwholesome desire, the things that cause us misery, such as, for example, if some person that was in high school is expected to go to college, to go to this school, to have these achievements, to have a family by 25, to have a house before 30, and if every single step of the way, those desires are unmet. They're met with it's an equal amount of pain and stress for that person. But realize that every single person's life is different. The things that we have in our lives and the path that we have doesn't necessarily have to be from the expectation of others. We and ourselves have a way to practice and see what are the positive, skillful things we can desire. Instead of desiring material things, having to be very well recognized, to have a very high title, whether it's from the city or the government or from jobs, and having different things from titles of school, those things will not last. But to know what is correct desires to help yourselves gain positive, wholesome inner qualities. You can desire to help others, be a benefit of others. That is one way for us to have skillful desire, in a way that we say to awaken your Bodhi mind. Your awakened mind is to desire to help others, help yourself. So, as I say, even though it is the elimination of unskillful desire, it is the arising of positive desire. And that is one way to, in turn, eliminate the things that cause us stress and misery, and to increase the things that give us happiness and joy in others.
Thank you very much. And the four noble truths is what? Yeah, please.
The fourth noble truth, again, I'll just repeat it so that the first is, all of it starts with right. Right meaning correct and not wrong. So right understanding, right thoughts, right words, right action, right livelihood, and then right effort, mindfulness, and concentration. And if you can put the eightfold path, if it's too difficult to memorize 8 things, then you can basically put it into 3 sets. The set of morality, concentration, and wisdom. So sila, samadhi, and panya, or prajna, is a way for you to develop yourself. And in more of an easier way to understand it, you develop yourself in an ethical, psychological way. From the Buddha's teaching, who was our great physician, great father, great leader, he taught us what is right and what is wrong. And not only having faith in the Buddha, the triple gem, in that you continue to have faith in yourself to practice, which is why we call it the Noble Eightfold Path. You don't have to necessarily memorize every single aspect, but you try every single day to reflect, how did you live this day where you hurt yourself for others, where you help yourself on others? And if you know intuitively what is right, what is wrong, by following the 5 precepts, no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no intoxicants, there's so many things to remind ourselves to practice a life of peace and happiness. So the fourth noble truth, even though it is given in a straight 8 sets of the correct thing to do, practically you can experience it by living a life of peace and happiness for yourself, by not harming yourself for others. simply put, is the way I can explain.
Yeah, thank you very much. And what are the benefits of practicing and understanding the Four Noble Truths?
The benefits of understanding can go, because we say that once you understand and practice the Buddha's teachings, in the beginning of your life it'll be great, in the middle of your life it'll be great, and in the end of your life it'll be great. The beginning of your life will be great because once you understand and put it into practice, your character is changed, your thoughts are changed. Inside, you will see yourself more better, and you will also act in a way which others will receive you better. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, educated or uneducated, whether you have a degree or not, but this way of life and understanding allows you to have the proper conduct, behavior, and speech that others will soon seem to recognize you, like mother or father to your parents. Oh, you seem much more peaceful today. You seem much more happier today. People want to be more around you because you're more of a peaceful, positive person. And also, as you continue to have more experience, it's something that you have as your habit. You'll, believe it or not, if you think constantly negative, you'll have a habit also to take more easier positive in a way, positive to yourself and others. If you continue to have this practice from not only 1 year, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, there'll be much more benefits that are seen only if you take it into practice. And even the best part of all, as I said in the reality, to the point even when you pass away, you'll be surrounded by loved ones, people who respect you, care for you, who love you. Even from the day that you pass away, there'll be others that are reminded, love, and respect you. And in your life, because we believe that death isn't the ending of things, but the beginning of things, your next life will also be rewarded from the virtues and cultivated from the seeds that you had set in this lifetime. So it is the reason why.
So the question is, what does Buddhism help with for the world today?
Buddhism helps with the world today because it's the teaching, the true teaching of the Buddha, which will allow us to have true peace for ourselves, family, country, and the world. Once each and every person tries their best, each and every day, to live respectful for themselves and others, live kindly, peacefully, and seek to understand others instead of causing others to be full of hatred, full of anger, full of destruction, then inside yourself, which is the person you can control the most, is the way eventually if more and more people were to be touched and to be awakened from the Buddha's teachings, then each and every person can gradually affect in a what's called exponential way. Each droplet or each flame can be given to the next person. So that is the power of the Buddha's teachings to reach the rest of the world.
Thank you very much for your time, Venerable Thích Ấn Tri. Thưa quý vị, Đại Đức Thích Ấn Tri đã giải thích tương đối chi tiết về tứ diệu đế. Thứ nhất là khổ đế, thứ hai là tập đế, thứ ba là diệt đế, và thứ tư là đạo đế. Và cũng nói rõ về cái sự lợi ích của việc hiểu biết và thực hành tứ diệu đế. Và chúng tôi cũng hỏi Đại Đức là Phật giáo có thể giúp gì cho thế giới hôm nay? Thế giới có nhiều cái khủng hoảng, nhiều cái căng thẳng, nhiều cái khó khăn. Thì Đại Đức Ấn Tri cũng đã giải thích là Phật giáo có thể giúp rất là nhiều. Bởi vì sao? Đạo Phật là đạo của hòa bình, của từ bi, của trí tuệ, của giải thoát. Cho nên chắc chắn rằng là nếu mà chúng ta hiểu và thực hành những gì mà Đức Phật đã dạy thì thưa quý vị, sẽ là một cái sự lợi ích không phải chỉ lớn lao đối với bản thân, đối với gia đình, mà còn là sự lợi ích vô cùng lớn lao đối với thế giới, một thế giới mà ngày hôm nay có quá nhiều khủng hoảng, một thế giới mà con người đã và đang đối diện với rất nhiều sự khổ đau. Chúng tôi xin chân thành cảm ơn sự theo dõi của quý vị và kính chúc quý vị vô lượng an lạc, phước huệ trang nghiêm, bồ đề tâm mỗi ngày một tăng trưởng. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.